guys, Zero Gaming back here, and in today's video, we are going to be discussing whether Rage 2 storyline, the Rage 2 storyline is good, and did the software developers, and I think it's like the 4 major companies that work on this, they all do their good part in making it worth it, and should you actually buy this game? I did do a game review, but this is more like a story review on is the story actually entertaining, and will you be like interacting with people, and so on and so forth. So let's start with graphics to the storyline. This storyline has great graphics-ish. The graphics are okay, but they could use a little bit of help. And one of the reasons I say that is because it's kind of interesting. They make it like, see like I fall right here, it kind of looks like too cartoony, but I think that's what they were going for as that. But for the most part, they kind of did it okay. And in some parts, if you fall down on a slant, you'll be able to see out of the map. So that's what I kind of mean by that. But here there's like no out of the map in this like story mode where I am. I should warn, this actually doesn't have too much of a spoilers. I'm just here shooting stuff, so that's it. Dying and redying. I'm not going to show too much of the storyline, just like spoilers, so that's why I'm just going to talk about it while going over this. So I think the graphics team did pretty good. Now for the animations team, the animations are great. People move just fine. It's fine, and I don't think they need any help on that. But for interactions, they do need help with that. So the way that it works is people will not show their faces too much, and there's not going to be as many cutscenes as you think. There's one in the beginning, and then there's one at the end, and that's it. So what's going to happen is they didn't really invest too much time into cutscenes. Now the cutscenes look great, and I think they spent a lot of time on that, and it looks really good, but most of it isn't cutscenes. Most of it is the same old, not cutscenes. And I really miss cutscenes. Like, those were pretty cool, and I'm too bad they couldn't make them in this game. But I mean, I guess it's okay. You can go up to people and visit people whenever you want. There's like no time. It's kind of like Destiny 2 or like the Destiny series, if you're familiar with that. Like, you can go back to the tower anytime you want to come see them. That's how it is. You can come back to see any of the main characters anytime. They might not give you stuff, but you can go visit them, and they'll say some dialect to you. But they really don't say like too much, and their story really isn't explained as much. It's usually just like Walker talking to himself. There's no I guess there's no multiplayer like socialism to this game. It's just gonna be you, Walker, the ranger, and you're gonna have no one else by your side. So that's literally it, and that's how it goes. Some of the time you will get voice interactions like on the radio, but besides that, even Walker, he doesn't even say a lot. There's only a few dialogue for him. But then again, you could choose from the start, you could choose from a female or a male character. So I can see why they need like 2 parts of each. So I mean, I guess that's it. And they need to animate, that would be hard. If they had so many characters, you'd have to animate in so many different ones. So I guess that's kind of the whole controversy with adding in more. So let's get back to the story, like the main story. The story really isn't too great for the most part. It's mostly just you going around like killing things, and there's usually not too much of like a origin story, like backstory. You literally just go around, hunting convoys, killing, authority sensors, and like those are big ones, and just like killing random things of enemies, and you really don't hear too much story out of it. You're literally just like killing them for the most part, and just going to these new locations. So for the most part, it's not an interactive story if that's what you want. That you'll see like none of that in this game, which I'm kind of sad about. I mean, I kind of wanted a little more of an interactive game, but for the most part, it's still good with like the firing and the driving. Now the vehicles are really good. The vehicles don't have so much to do with the story as they do just being vehicles and like how you can get them. That's kind of how that is you can get the vehicles and you can bring them back to base and put them in. So they definitely did a good job on like how many vehicles you could get. The tanks are amazing and all that good stuff is pretty nice. And then even moving on even further, some of the enemies, so moving on to the enemies, there's about like a few types of enemies. There's the Authority, those are the big ones, and they're not really any creatures. They're mostly just like mutant things. They're really weird. Next on the list, we have the Shroud. Now the Shroud are kind of like, they're like the most advanced thing next to what Walker is and what his base stood for. They're really powerful people. They're almost like kind of like Spartans from Halo, which is kind of interesting. They're like military. They're very military based. Like if you walk into one of their secret bases, they can be seen doing, you know, push-ups or having like a leader like tell them on their, you know, fitness regimen. So they're definitely not like the Goon Squad. And yeah, next is the Goon Squad. They're the equivalent to just like random idiots, no-gooder millennials, if that makes sense. They're kind of degenerates for the most part, if you even look at them. You know, they have their hair the one way, they're like, we're not scaring you with their baseball bats. They're punks. That's literally it. They should be called the Punk Squad, not the Goon Squad. The Punk Squad. And that's what they are. And there's a lot of them. And sometimes it can be really dumb, like trying to hit you with a baseball bat. For the most part, they have really good tech, I'll give them that. And they're really good at spray painting their tanks. Very nice artwork. And that's about it for the Goon Squad. You will fight, like, the most people you'll be finding in this game are the Goon Squad, not the Authority, the main antagonist. It's the Goon Squad because they're linked with the Authority. So technically, if you're fighting the Authority, you're fighting the Goon Squad. So that's basically it. Next, we have the River Hogs. Now, you don't actually see too many of the River Hogs. Like, they're not the big antagonist, and they show up, like, in a few missions. They're not really that important, but they actually are really important. They are a different faction of the Goon Squad. They're literally just the swamp faction of the Goon Squad. Now, you really won't see them fighting each other, but they pretty much are, like, a faction of the Goon Squad. It's kind of interesting how the storyline goes with that. And yeah, they are a faction, and yeah, that is how it goes. I guess it's kind of interesting. They're kind of like, you know, the black sheep of the Goon Squad, and literally and metaphorically, if you go there, they're kind of all biker-ish. Now, they are pretty fierce. Their presence is, if you go to one of their bases, their presence is pretty crazy, and they have really good tech, so, or just weapons. And then next, we have the mutants. Now, the mutants are a huge part of the story underground. And you'll be doing a lot of like nest hunts for them and a lot of that kind of stuff. And you'll be hunting them down, finding the Goon Squad, that kind of stuff. And you'll really just have to really like fight them for the most part. And they're kind of hard to kill. They'll kind of come in like, you know, brutes, and they'll attack you at the same time. They remind me of an enemy from Destiny 2, Thralls, if you guys aren't familiar with that. A lot of references. But yeah, that's how I picture it too. And then lastly, you know, the Authority. Now, I didn't really talk too much about these guys. They're kind of like zombies kind of thing. And they're kind of interesting. They're made kind of like, they're half like robot, half thing. They're really interesting. They're like flesh and robot, and they're kind of like hanging pieces of it. So they're kind of funny. You can even say they're mutants for the most part. And yeah, guys, so that is pretty much all the enemies of the gang. So you'll definitely be finding a lot of enemies in the storyline, which I think is actually kind of cool, and even seeing them fight each other, which I think is really cool. Now, I don't think there's like that many like little ones left. But if I did miss one, let me know down in the comments which one I missed, so other people can see that too, and maybe say how we fight them. But to be honest, I really don't think there's any more that we fight beside the ones that I mentioned. And then there are swamp creatures, but they're kind of just mutants. But anyway, guys, I will say, in conclusion, the storyline for Rage 2 is okay. I wouldn't say it's the best for people who want an interactive story with main characters. It's definitely a free roam game, and it's really a really good free roam game, actually. The vehicles are great, and the free roam is just amazing. So, you know, like the vehicles, you know, all that. So, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. subscribe, and hopefully see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
Welcome to North Hill, a new townhome development located in the north end of Boise, Idaho, offering 2 or 3 bedroom floor plans with refined finishes and natural stone throughout. Come check us out and visit us at northhillboise.com.